Hello everybody. So this video is entitled MSTR Holding Strong because we are showing amazing resilience in the stock's price. Can we acknowledge the outperformance of MSTR? It's absolutely outstanding. We're only down 5%, while Bitcoin, was down at the open about 7%, 6.5% now. Let me get this right. We should be down 11 to 12%, not 5%. This is exceptional outperformance of strategy. It means that there are little sellers of MSTR. This is what I've said for a long time. The tourists have been long gone. The panic selling on this stock is long gone. I think the shareholder base of strategy is now made up of mostly very, very long-term folks. It seems like a lot of the lettuce hands, as we say in crypto, a lot of the lettuce hands seem to be holding either spot Bitcoin, leverage Bitcoin on Hyperliquid, or Bitcoin simply on the ETFs, and it also makes me wonder, 77,000, is that the real price? Is that the real price of Bitcoin? Or is that kind of a fire sale price that the exchanges had to give you? They make this price go down artificially to liquidate. But if you want to buy Bitcoin in any meaningful quantity, 77K is probably not the price. And this is where we talk about the strategy put. Strategy here is probably protected by the strategy put, because if you want to have access to very, very high sum of Bitcoin, well, the price is not as low as the spot price, which is only for just a few Bitcoin. The point I'm trying to make is that Bitcoin is extremely sensitive to actual buys on the open market, and I am not sure that 77K price for Bitcoin would hold for someone who wants to buy even 1,000 Bitcoins. So that's kind of my take on this. The lettuce hands are not with MSTR. They seem to be with other stocks or other assets or leveraged assets. So that's point number one. Outperformance is outstanding. Very happy. Then let's remind ourselves of a catastrophic weekend we had. And this is not hyperbole. We went down to 74.5. And, again, go back to all of the social media, all of the people who do TA, who do this, who do that, who try to predict where this is going to go. Even the people I follow who do TA, they said, we're going to go to 79. That was the bottom, or 78. No, we went to 74. So don't forget, TA, any prediction you want to have, there's going to be a metric, there's going to be a chart, there's going to be something that you can draw on that chart to make you go where you want to go. That's why a lot of people call it astrology for men. Anyways, I'm not calling it that. It's not my area of expertise. I just know I use it very, very little, because if TA was right, we would have been at 180 in December. So, period. That's my take on this. Usually, though, the fear and greed, more of a social indicator, usually has been more effective at predicting bottoms. And you see the fear and greed is 15 right now. In 1010, we went down, was it a little lower than that? Something like that. November 11 went down to 10. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make, 15 extreme greed, we're near the bottom. So we could have another leg down, but it seems unlikely because we've reached that extreme fear scenario, and I've found these social sentiment indicators to be a little more accurate than perhaps some TA. So again, as always, I have no idea where Bitcoin is headed. It could be 65 next week, or it could be 95. I have no idea. And that's the beauty of just holding the common of MSTR. And MSTR is actually showing less volatility than Bitcoin right now. Less volatility than Bitcoin. This is amazing. The TradFi market, TradFi rails are not buying whatever price signal is being sent on DeFi rails. That's kind of my take. Let's talk about the buy of this week. Next to nothing. Right, 855 Bitcoin, 75 million. To quote Warren Buffett, sometimes the hardest thing is to do nothing. Strategy essentially did nothing. ATM a little bit, just a tad, next to nothing, probably that at the very, very beginning of the week, and then stopped. And by the way, he raised 106 million, only spent 75 million. So maybe he's got some dry powder somewhere, just a tad. Nothing. He's doing nothing, and that's good. That's good because there's nothing to do right now. The price is entirely off. The price is not taking into account Kevin Walsh coming at the Fed and following any request for rate cuts. The price is not taking into account the shutdown probably ending on Tuesday or Thursday. I don't know, but they're going to vote to end the shutdown. It seems like the market's not worried about the shutdown. The market is not taking into account the PMI this morning came out okay. There's a lot of things that the market is not taking into account. 78 is not reflecting the true price of Bitcoin. That's what I think. Anyways, we wait for stretch to stretch. Pun intended. Stretch actually rebounding nicely, 99.22. We're going back to 100. It's inevitable. Saylor will force Stretch to go back to 100. There is a system. He has a system. He has a strategy. He has a plan. Every month, if it doesn't close at 100, you increase the yield by 25 basis points, making the asset more attractive. At some point, it will close the month at 100, and then the yield may be decreased, or he may issue more stretch to get the yield down. I don't know, but I know that January did not end on a good note. January, the last 2 weeks of January, had 3 gray swan events. We had 3 gray swan events. It'd be wonderful if we had a February without any, purchase-related, tariff-related swan, gray swan or black swan events. It'd be good, like just a quiet February. And I think if we have a quiet February, that's all we need, then we're going to do very well with Bitcoin. But as long as we get this madness, this volatility in this unpredictability in the leadership and in the tariff tensions and all that sort of stuff, unfortunately, geopolitics as well, unfortunately, that means sometimes the price of Bitcoin gets dislocated. But it's not a forever thing. So to me, it's inevitable we get back to 100. When we get back to 100, again, this is the iPhone moment for strategy. Then we know that he can issue a lot of stretch. He can issue a lot of stretch and buy a lot of Bitcoin. So outstanding outperformance today for MSTR compared to where it should have been. I am very, very pleased. Anyways, this was not investment advice, not financial advice, ever on this channel, just entertainment. I'm hoping you're entertained. Please like, please subscribe. Follow me on Patreon. Follow me on X. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful, wonderful day.